Hello everyone and welcome back to...
That's not the intro, is it?
What?
I wasn't ready for that.
Were you not? I was just jumping straight in.
I was looking somewhere else. Right.
Hello everyone and welcome back to episode 114 of your favourite Formula 1 show. Knowing Wheel returns this week out as we look towards what could quite possibly be the worst triple header of all time. I'm joined by Jamie183. How are we doing, mate?
I'm good. I'm unfortunately not that excited based on how the season has begun and what the three tracks coming up are, but I'm sure anything can happen in Formula 1, and it normally does. So we can hold some hope.
Yeah, we've both got a big canister of hopium this week that we're both inhaling between speaking on the show. But I mean, obviously we had a break week last week. I was very, very busy doing the Nürburgring Nordschleife 24 hours. Did you get up to anything exciting, Jamie, over the weekend? And please tell me you didn't watch Eurovision.
I did.
Oh, I knew you did.
I also have my own race to do, but in real life. So
yes, you did.
Yeah, that was fun. And I've now made a hobby out of telling people that I did the race. So there we go.
And what was the race?
10k in Manchester in Heaton Park. And
nice.
49 minutes and 13 seconds.
Nice. So let us know down in the comments below just how much quicker you can run 10k. Yeah, how much quicker can you run 10k than Jamie183? But let's get into it then, Jamie. I mean, we've got to get some clickbait in there first of all, haven't we? Mercedes B-Spec car is arriving this weekend at Imola, and apparently it's actually got side pods.
No way, that's unreal. It took them 18 months to realise F1 cars need side pods. Yeah, I think they're playing it down, which is, for Mercedes fans, probably a good sign, really, because they made a living during their 8 years of Constructors' World Championships of playing down their own car just to go on and win by 30 seconds. So I don't think they'll jump to the front, but I think they'll take a step ahead of Aston Martin, which I don't think at the start of the season we thought we'd be saying.
No, exactly. I mean, I'm not even really convinced that Mercedes are much worse than Aston Martin anyway, to be honest. But I mean, I've been thinking about this. Potentially this Mercedes upgrade could really kill any kind of decent hype we've got, because we could end up in a situation now where the Mercedes is comfortably quicker than Aston Martin and Ferrari, but still not as quick as the Red Bulls. So it could just be per Ham for the rest of the year, or per George Russell. Per Russ, sorry.
I feel like there's not much of a window in that space, really. So
qualifying, no. Race, yes.
Yeah, so like you could end up very much where the Mercedes can kind of annoy the Red Bulls, a bit like what we saw Verstappen doing to the Mercedes in 2020.
Yeah.
So that would make things okay, because then you got potentially another team at least that could fight for wins on occasion, which right now we don't have, really. Unless the Red Bulls both retire or both have like issues in a race in terms of crashes or really poor starts, even then they probably still win. Like, yeah, we need another team to be a little bit closer, otherwise we're looking at our first whitewash of a season, which I don't want to be too negative 4 minutes into the podcast.
That'll never happen.
I don't believe it will happen, but the way it's going, how bulletproof that Red Bull looks.
But it hasn't looked bulletproof though, has it?
Well, it's had the one issue in qualifying, didn't it?
It's had the issues in qualifying for Max. They've had more gearbox issues occasionally in races as well. And there is still a little part of me that wonders, rounds, say for example in Monaco, whether they could be challenged. But, I mean, potentially, it could be as simple as Leclerc gets pole at Monaco this year and actually doesn't bottle it.
Yeah, maybe. Alonso's basically on top of his game, I would say. So, like, at a proper driver's track like Monaco, if I was choosing Alonso at Max in qualifying, I'd probably choose Alonso right now. Okay. So, like, yeah, you never know.
I think even for me at Monaco, I'd still go Charles out of the two of them. And he's not even an option.
Maybe. He might actually... one lap at a time is probably the best way for Charles to do Monaco.
I mean, that's basically how it's the only way Charles can race. One lap at a time. And often that's his outlap.
Yeah, but enough of his bullying Ferrari already.
I was actually going to talk about that just a little bit more. What are we thinking about Charles Leclerc and Ferrari at the moment, Jamie? I know we do this about every 3 weeks or so. But more mistakes in Miami. What's going on?
I think he's going through the Ferrari 5-year cycle of doom. So, arrive fresh-faced, really excited, love the team, have a bit of success, and then they just wear you down and down until you end up just feeling the massive pressure from the whole of Italy, from Maranello, from within the team. And because you've basically got to do everything, because the team is so dysfunctional, it just isn't a long-lasting relationship. We've seen some of the best drivers of their generations go to Ferrari and not last 6 years. And Leclerc is in his 5th season with Ferrari, so yeah, it might be curtains.
That clock is well and truly ticking. But again, Mercedes this week have come out saying they still stick with Lewis Hamilton. Where does he go?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I don't massively think, unless it's Mercedes, I don't see him going anywhere, to be honest.
He's kind of stuck, isn't he?
Yeah, a little. And if for being at, Ferrari are never going to be far off the front of the grid, so it's not a bad place to be stuck, is it?
Yeah, to a point.
Yeah,
to a point. True. I think there's often times where you'd rather have a Jenson Button style career where you end up mid-table for 5 years in a row and then get an absolutely dominant car rather than just finishing constantly top 4 and never winning a championship.
Yeah,
I think it would be my personal feelings. But yeah, interesting times, of course. But obviously, going back quickly, we're going forward, we're going backwards, we're doing all this, that, and the other. Back to Mercedes then. New side pods, new floor, and new suspension, I think, were the 3 upgrades we've heard about that they're bringing. So, if I had to ask you right now, Jamie, will these Mercedes upgrades provide them with either a car that can win, a car that is comfortably second best, or a car that is no better, and then we wonder whether side pods were ever truly the problem? Could happen.
I think they will take a good step forward, but I don't think they'll be comfortable in second, but I think they'll be more able to fight on a consistent basis.
Fair enough.
I think it was it who's the technical director of Mercedes? James Vowles? No,
yes.
He left, didn't he? I can't remember who it was. Might have been James Allison.
Yes,
but somebody was saying they've never had an upgrade on a car which brings them 0.6 of a second. It just doesn't happen because a car is so complex that one upgrade in itself, even if it's a big upgrade, like 3 things at once, like this one is, it's not going to win you that much time. So I think it will get them closer, but I don't think they'll be, the silver bullet that we've once seen at Mercedes. So.
No, but I think it would be nice, like you said, of course, if they can just be difficult for Red Bull, if they can be within a pit stop of Red Bull and not getting absolutely blown away by them as well. There is a little part of me as well that wonders, of course, whether everything George Russell, because of course the big talking point we're comparing this to, isn't it, of course, is after Australia, when we had the spring break, we had all this talk from George Russell about, the car, we've made more progress in these last 4 weeks than we did throughout the entire winter, and all this, that, and the other, and we're like, right, okay, George, and then the car did nothing. Was there a little part, potentially, Jamie, and this is not quite conspiracy theory,
Get
but...
your tinfoil hat on for this.
Get your tinfoil hat on, exactly. Where Mercedes did make a lot of progress in those 4 weeks, realised they still weren't going to quite be with Red Bull, so thought, well, we'll hold back on it, and make sure that when we come back, it's properly so we can fight them. Just so Adrian Newey can then bring in bigger upgrade as well, that he's probably just got sat on a drawing board at home. On an
but I don't
sketch.
see why. I don't see why you would have these upgrades ready and then just put them off to make a point. If you're going to make your car better, they'd make it better as soon as possible.
But if they knew they had something else coming in,
is the only they would just put the first bit on when you have it ready.
Well, I think the only thing I can think of, really, for Mercedes is, of course, let's be fair, with the budget cap now and things like that, it doesn't really matter where they finish, does it? Because they're always going to be getting the money they need from Daimler. It doesn't really matter. If you can try and spring a surprise and potentially, even just hypothetically, put Red Bull on the back foot, you kind of just feel like, why wouldn't you take that opportunity, I suppose? I mean, I guess it's just that whole thing, isn't it, still, of we've never seen Mercedes on the back foot and how they're able to bounce back. Still, it completely is excuses, hasn't it been, for the last 18 months? It's the zero side pod concept.
Yeah.
That's what's costing them. If that doesn't work, then I think we're in for an even more telling time of what Mercedes is really like as an organisation.
Yeah, definitely. And are they, did they have this extended spell of dominance because they were the best team, or were they just, obviously they're very, very efficient, but everyone was always chasing and they weren't, which makes a big difference.
I'm thinking this almost in the way, of course, of when McLaren went back to Honda. Are the zero side pods the potential version of the Honda engine that McLaren were always blaming everything for? And then, of course, when they went to Renault, everyone was like, well, it's clearly your car, not that then, isn't it? Is there something else still at play that they need to sort out? That's I think, still what we're wondering at the moment. But you can... Actually, no, I was about to say you can take your tinfoil hats off. You can't just yet, because we've got even more clickbaity driver transfer news, because apparently Ricciardo might go to AlphaTauri, and I just think it's ridiculous.
It's insane, isn't it? I believe that the ultimatum that they've given Nick de Vries, there's probably some truth in that, because he's not been doing very well at all.
He hasn't done
are obviously very cutthroat.
Awfully, though, has he?
But
he's not
Tsunoda
been good.
Was getting beaten by quite a mid-level driver in the last 2 years.
You're calling Gasly mid?
Gasly is upper mid, but he's not
upper mid. I don't even know if that's more insulting.
But he's not a top 5 driver on the grid. I think we can all say that.
Oh, easily.
You know what I mean? Tsunoda
not even the best
either
French
has taken
driver.
a massive step up, or De Vries is just really bad. And I think they want to get an actual measuring stick to see how good Tsunoda is, maybe. And I think Ricciardo would do that. I think Liam Lawson deserves a shot, but he obviously wouldn't be the measuring stick because no one knows. He's a bit of an unknown quantity as well. But yeah, it's just how desperate are you getting? If 6 months ago, you're I can't get to Williams, can't get to Haas, can't get to AlphaTauri, I'm just going to go and chill for a year. And then 5 races into the season, you're so bored, you'll go to the 9th fastest team. Come on, better than that.
It does seem a little bit contrived, doesn't it? Because the only other... It was only obviously when you mentioned it then that I thought about it as well. Could it be potentially, of course, Franz Tost sorry, not Franz Tost, even Helmut Marko even obviously recently has gone on and obviously spoke about, potentially Yuki could be a Red Bull driver in the future. Is it worth, if you're still aware that Ricciardo's a bit mid at the moment, which he absolutely is, I think, is a harsh reality for a lot of people to accept. Could it be that, if Yuki does a good job against him, if Checo doesn't step back into line, play second fiddle again, could it be that they end up just actually trying to make it out because we've always had Red Bull before, haven't we? They'll say one thing and take it to the grave, whether it makes sense or not anymore, and Helmut Marko's just a stubborn old man. But could it be, that he said this now and he's gone, yeah, I suppose we could put Yuki in?
Yeah. Yeah, maybe he's realised that what he said wasn't just conjecture, but there we go. I don't know. Another bit of driver transfer news, actually, to segue off the back of that. It's not in the notes, I just thought about it because I saw it on Twitter earlier. Audi
that's always a great
2026 have chosen their favourite for their seat in 2026, Sebastian Vettel, which I think is unbelievably poetic, but will never happen.
I hope it doesn't, in the nicest way possible, because I do like Seb as a human being. Behind the wheel, Jamie, so newer fans, I get why you love Seb. But Jamie and I, as people that watched F1 back in the early 10s, we've been scarred. We were young children who turned into teenagers, when you're going through, you hate the world and things like that. Formula 1 is your only escape back then. And it's this pesky German kid every week winning in the most boring way possible. You can't fall in love with him again like that until he recited every single F1 world champion. And then there was a little bit of my heart that went, you know what, Seb? I think you've won me over.
Bad. Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't, in the nicest way possible, bless him, he was pretty poor after a 2-race sabbatical in 2022. How much would he struggle after 4 years away?
Yeah. But to be fair, he would only be 38. Which obviously is old.
Oh, that's still old though, isn't it?
Yeah, but
he's no Fernando Alonso.
Alonso's older than that.
Is Seb that much younger than Lewis?
Yeah, apparently. I just googled it. So 1987.
Yeah, I suppose he is, because he was 19 when he debuted, obviously, and Hamilton was 22.
Yeah.
He retired young, didn't he? I forgot about that.
He's only 35. So, get him back? No, definitely not.
Yeah, get him back in the AlphaTauri right now.
But their second choice, actually, the Audi seat, the second choice I saw was going to be Carlos Sainz, which...
Yeah, weird.
You know, that would be
I can understand it.
If they're going to be midfield for a bit, I can understand it, but it's not the most ambitious thing in the world, is it?
Well, it's because they've used his dad before, isn't it?
Yeah, maybe. I'm still holding out hope that Zhou Guanyu just stays there long enough to get a good car.
I think he will, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think I know we've spoke about this before briefly in the past, but I think he will. Not only is he still doing a decent enough job against Valtteri Bottas so far this year, but it also, and I know we spoke about this a lot last year, cannot be argued, Audi want to sell road cars in China.
Yeah.
It's a pretty damn good way of doing it. I don't think they've struggled for numbers. You know, it's always difficult to tell what's going on in China, but from the bits and pieces you get, there seems to be the impression that Zhou Guanyu is very much loved over there.
Yeah, rightly so. What a boy. But another bit of news, which isn't the notes that I meant to say. 2026 engine, of course, the new Audi is coming in. Not Aldi, Audi.
Yep.
And also, there was the race did an article this week about Aston Martin being a potential suitor for the Honda return, although they never really left, but you know, their on-off relationship that they love.
They're kind of half out the door.
Yeah. So Aston Martin, obviously Mercedes are probably going to want to stop giving them engines if Aston Martin are going to stay being good. So it would open the door for Honda. And Honda are right now obviously kind of in the sport with Red Bull, but kind of not, because that's kind of Red Bull, but it's kind of Ford and it's kind of Honda. It's very complicated. And yeah, Red Bull, of course, will be making their own powertrains from 2026 with Ford backing.
With Ford EcoBoost technology.
Yeah. And that'll mean that Honda no longer supply any engines officially, although kind of the Honda child engine will be Red Bull powertrains. And they'll be free to join the sport again if they want, and Aston Martin seem like a very good option if they're going to still be this good in 2026, although surely Alonso won't be going by then. But
it wouldn't surprise me if we're in our mid-30s and Alonso's still kicking around. I mean, it's always that theory, isn't it, that came out a few months ago. I don't know if you ever saw this, that Alonso apparently wants to stay in Formula 1 because he can't remember winning his first 2 world championships because of the memory loss from the... I almost said execution then, but it's electrocution.
No. Yeah, he woke up from the pre-season testing incident being like, I'm 23 now.
Yeah. Well, no, because he reckoned he was 13, didn't he? That was the thing. And he wants to be a Formula 1 driver. So perhaps he doesn't remember winning those world championships and wants to know what it's like to win one again, maybe.
Potentially.
But I don't think he'll ever win a world title again. It's mad that we're talking about a driver that peaked nearly 20 years ago.
He won his first race 20 years ago, didn't he?
He did. Oh, that's so worrying. So worrying. But yeah, it's. I mean, Honda. I mean, we spoke about this before, didn't we? Because originally I'd said, you know, go back to McLaren. I think both teams have learned a lot. AKA Honda now are much better, and McLaren haven't got Ron Dennis at the helm. You know, I always said there, but Aston Martin does also make a lot of sense.
It does. And it would please Alonso if he is still driving, because I feel like the Honda is a very good engine. So
yeah, because the last time Alonso drove Honda power units, that went well, didn't it?
Yes, but about his former team, Alpine, they're being
segue.
weird. They're being very, very strange, as usual,
it's just
really.
French, isn't it? It's just so French.
It's just bizarre. Like, we were saying pre-show, if it was like once a year, they basically just have a tantrum and say they're going to leave, and then they just don't. So, yeah, the head of Alpine, the CEO, Laurent Rossi?
Laurent Rossi, Valentino's brother.
Basically, is it? I don't know if you're lying.
Of course not. Of course not. He's Italian.
Oh yeah, true. He's basically saying the team's not good enough. We're rubbish. If there's nothing, like no improvement, we're going to change things. And it's like, okay, put your money where your mouth is and actually do it.
But you can't put your money where your mouth is because everyone's got a budget cap.
Yeah, it's true. But it's worrying signs for Otmar at the helm of that team if he's going to be like, we're going to make changes because we're not doing very well. Yeah, Alpine are just a bit weird. They always have been. It's just like they just say things and then nothing really ever changes.
the thing is with Alpine, it's bizarre because, of course, Mercedes and Ferrari sell road cars. Obviously, Ferrari are the best example, and McLaren, actually, I guess, sell road cars to fund Formula 1 teams. Alpine make Formula 1 cars to try and sell road cars.
Yeah.
Which isn't really working particularly.
It's not really a great business.
It just seems like we're going to talk about this in 10 years, going, they blew this much money and it's going to be the next Toyota, isn't it, Alpine? But it just seems to keep on going and going and going.
But Renault are never done with the sport, are they? Like, they'll leave for a bit and then be like, oh no, we're
like Honda.
Yeah. It's just these weird nationalised manufacturers.
Well, that's the thing, of course, because Renault is so tied into the French government. I know, obviously, it used to be a lot worse, but obviously so tied in still with the French government that, they've got... let's be fair, if Renault turned around tomorrow and went, we're not racing anymore, Ocon and Gasly are screwed. Where could they sensibly go?
I feel like they'd find somewhere.
Where? I can't see any other team I can't see any other team picking up Ocon, to be honest. Maybe it's just because we're not a fan of him here either.
Well, he's a bit of a tool, isn't he? But
that's what we've always heard.
I feel like Gasly to Williams, go and chill with Albon for a bit. That'd be nice.
Potentially, yeah. It's just the Red Bull, I got beaten up by Max Verstappen club.
Yeah, the Max Verstappen trauma club. Yeah,
it's just so weird. So weird.
Yeah.
Following on from that, though, as well, apparently Alpine have basically been crying that they're now upset that Alonso left because he's obviously doing better than they are, which I also found was hilarious. Because apparently, of course, now, Alonso, we spent 15 years just making it obvious that he can't make career moves. He's finally made a good one, and now Alpine aren't happy with that. Because, of course, he's just a bit of a kick in the balls for them, isn't it? Because Aston Martin have done what Alpine have been trying to do for years.
Yeah, literally.
And that's break into the front group.
All of the midfield teams have had the excuse for the last 8 years of like, oh, no one's broken into the top 3. It's fine. We can chill. And then one team has, and all of them are like, wait, how have they done that?
Yeah.
And it's like Aston Martin are kind of making everyone realise that they should be doing better.
Exactly. It really has shown this. It'll obviously depend again on how the next couple of years go and all this, that, and the other. But it has really shown, of course, that it isn't impossible. It's a bit of a shame the way they've had to do it by just copying Red Bull's car.
But then if you know one car's the fastest, why wouldn't you copy it?
That's also very true, but it does kind of go against the whole ideology of F1 being innovative and all that kind of thing, doesn't it, as well? Which is a bit of a shame. I think the last thing that we've got to talk about, Jamie, is even more Ferrari upgrades coming this weekend. So, obviously, we had the new floor last weekend, which Charles Leclerc loved, throwing that into the barrier twice. But apparently, Ferrari are going to be bringing more new parts this weekend to the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix. Of course, first of 2 home races for them this season. So it's going to be a question of whether they can try and build up some consistency with these parts as well, isn't it?
Yeah, and hopefully they'll last the weekend. But that's not always a given with those drivers. But there we go.
Last year was pretty much a disaster for them, wasn't it, at Imola?
Sainz was out on lap 1, wasn't he? And what happened to Leclerc?
Leclerc bottled it.
Oh, yeah, he should have got... No, that was 2 years ago he should have got a podium.
No, last year. Last year as well, he bottled it. Remember, he span at the chicane. Came 7th. It was the first part of the Ferrari downfall. I was there, Jamie. I remember.
Yeah.
I was with the Ferrari fans.
When he absolutely clouted the curb trying to get DRS off Perez.
Yeah, fantastic camera shot as he goes over that curb. But, bottled it. The start of last year's Ferrari downfall.
Indeed.
And, just like last year as well, apparently the weather's meant to be absolutely awful all weekend.
It's thunderstorming on Monday, but the
Grand Prix is now fine.
Sunday are all wet as well. So that might make things interesting.
Okay.
Yeah.
So very intriguing.
Imola, the Emilia Romagna del Made in Italy Grand Prix.
You've actually got the full name, haven't you? I want to read out the full name quickly.
That was most of the full name, but probably not in the right order.
Now let me read it all out properly for you, Jamie. Come on. Where is it? So it's the Formula 1 Qatar Airways Gran Premio del Made in Italia e del Emilia Romagna 2023, or San Marino Grand Prix, as it's lovely known.
Yes, and speaking of San Marino Grand Prix, that is where Imola first appeared, or the name under which Imola first appeared on the calendar in 1981, which is an awful long time ago. It's been off and on since then. Obviously, had the big gap from 2006 until a couple of years ago. There have been a large number of winners of the San Marino Grand Prix / Emilia Romagna Grand Prix. You have 2 minutes to name all of them.
So can we preface this first of all by saying that Jamie accidentally told me what the quiz was going to be this week. And in the 25 minutes that we've been recording, I had completely forgot. So it's not really done me any favours whatsoever.
There's actually only 16 answers, and a lot of them are like good drivers, so you should be okay. Well, they all want to. And I'll give you a hint. A lot of random French drivers have won it. Okay. So your time starts now.
I mean, there's so many random French winners back in the 80s.
Yeah. Yeah, your time's going, by the way.
Oh, no, restart the clock. I had no idea. Restart the clock.
We're going now.
Okay, right. So, Max Verstappen.
Yes.
Lewis Hamilton.
Yes.
Michael Schumacher.
Mm-hmm.
Fernando Alonso.
Yep.
Jenson Button never won at Imola, sorry. You just got pole there. Rubens Barrichello, did he win one?
No.
Mika Hakkinen, did he win one?
No, he didn't, actually.
Oh, okay. David Coulthard, did he win one?
Yes.
Kimi Räikkönen?
No.
No, okay.
You got one more, and then it's all 90s before, 80s before that.
Oh, so someone else won in the 2000s?
Yes.
Right, okay. I said Alonso, didn't I?
Yeah.
Yep. One more in the two. I said Rubens Barrichello.
Mm-hmm.
Who else won one in the 2000s? Oh, Juan Pablo Montoya? Ralf Schumacher?
Ralf Schumacher. There you
go. Okay.
Right, it's all 80s and 90s for now. So enjoy.
Jacques Villeneuve.
No.
Damon Hill.
Yep.
Nigel Mansell.
Yep.
Ayrton Senna.
Mm-hmm.
Alain Prost.
Yep.
Thierry Boutsen.
No.
Keke Rosberg?
No.
I'm trying to think of other French random drivers.
There's 2 French random drivers you haven't got yet.
Jean Alesi never did.
No. Got 35 seconds.
Michele Alboreto?
No, he's Italian.
I know he's Italian. He was still just a guess. This is.
There's one more world champion, and the rest of them are just random.
Nelson Piquet.
Yes.
Okay. Random 80s and 90s drivers. I'm trying to think of other French drivers. I know there's a couple I'm obviously forgetting. The problem is all I can think about is just stereotypical French names. So all I just want to say is Pierre over and over.
Your time has got 2 seconds left.
And it's up.
Unlucky. Yeah.
How many did I get, actually?
11
I feel like I did okay.
16.
That's pretty good going.
That's pretty good going. So you got 97 winner, I think. Heinz-Harald Frentzen.
Oh, I should have got... I was thinking... Because when I said Jacques Villeneuve, obviously I thought, well, I've already said Schumacher. I should have said Frentzen.
Another one you may have... Well, you definitely heard of. Riccardo Patrese.
Yeah, forgot you really... Was that the only race he won in 92?
I don't know. It was... I've just had a list of names.
Did he win the 1992 Grand Prix?
I can tell you in a second. 1992. No, he won in 1990.
Oh, okay.
And the other 3 were quite difficult, but Elio De Angelis.
I was actually going to say him, and then Patrick Paye. Oh, Patrick Tombe.
And Didier Pironi.
Didier Pironi, yeah. Okay. I did have Elio De Angelis in my head. Did he win the first one?
No, he won 1985.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, but it was a fairly good attempt.
Yeah, I'll take that. I will take that. Nice. Was that the year he was teammates with Ayrton Senna?
I think it was. 85 Lotus.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it? Yeah, interesting. Well, there we go then, Jamie. Before we forget, we've been very, very unprofessional. Quick last thing then, Jamie. Predictions. What are we saying? Imola, Emilia Romagna, Del Made in Italy.
It's raining the whole time. I don't want to be brave.
Go on, be brave. Because I'm still losing points-wise, aren't I? What's the scores?
You are. It's quite close, though.
17-14. I'm not doing too badly.
No. I'll be quite boring, but a little bit interesting. Max Verstappen on pole position. Very boring. It's not a sprint, really. No, it's not. I will then say Max for the race win. And I will say...
First double winner of the year.
Really?
2 in a row.
Oh, yeah. True. He might be shooting in second place. No, I won't do that. I will go Lewis Hamilton in second place. Throwing it back to 2021. And
Lando Norris, third year in a row podium.
I might go Lance Stroll. He's good in the wet. Let's go for it. Lance Stroll on the
Lance Stroll, you brave boy.
Watch
Fair play
it.
to you.
Watch it happen.
Watch it happen. Okay. I'm going to be very, very boring then and try and recover even more points against my boy. Max Verstappen.
Oh, dear.
Sergio Perez.
Oh, dear.
I mean, we're going to get so much hate the fact neither of us put Alonso on the podium again,
Yeah,
even though it constantly is happening. But just so the Fernando Alonso fans can be tilted out there, I'm going to say... Russell, P3.
Nice. Enjoy that, all you Spanish people.
Yeah. Hello,
23,
Spaniards.
you heard it here first.
Yeah. Stroll, podium. He's actually... You should have said P2 so he gets a better result than Fernando's had.
Yeah, no. Continuing the Aston Martin podium run. Which is one race long.
Yeah, exactly. It ended. But thank you all so much for listening. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure you leave us a follow, get yourself subscribed, all that good stuff here on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you're listening. And we will be back then next week to look over the action from the, or lack of action potentially, from the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix. And we'll head then to Monaco, the jewel in the Formula 1 crown. We'll be back very, very soon with more Formula 1 content. I have butchered this week's outro.